Hi, this is Don N5SKT, and this is the install of the tower. What you just saw was the hole that was dug by JT during the install, or during the first part of the day uh, on Wednesday. Then he had to or make arrangements for the person to come out and do the concrete pour. So he contracted with a company to come out and put the concrete in. What he's doing now is putting the concrete in, and they're dumping it into the hole. There is rebar in the hole. It's just that I didn't get up that close. I stayed back because the stuff was spreading out quite a bit. That little type wooden thing with the four posts coming out of it, those are the screws that are going to be dropped down into the concrete. I did not record that part because after this, JT spent some time leveling out the concrete after it had been poured. And again, I didn't record that either. And also, he got all of the got it all leveled and smoothed out. And you'll see that here in a minute when I show it after it's set for a day or two. I was working, and so therefore only had a brief bit of time when I could come out and record things. Here it is after it's already been put in, and JT's spread out the concrete and kind of leveled everything out. Now, just to let you know, there is, and I don't have it recorded either, there's grout that's going to go in between the base of the tower and the concrete that you see there that will make sure that the tower base stays in place and sits on something that will distribute the weight across the entire platform, that they're the concrete platform. Here the base, the inner and outer iron or steel tubes have been delivered, and the cable, JT has pulled the cable through the larger point and got it all lined up. Now here he and I are actually going to fit the two together. There is a bit of a trick to getting them to go together. It's not a trick, it's the way that it's made. There are some inner guides inside the pipe at both ends, and so you have to get that inner pipe to go up over the lip of those inner pipes. There's one on each one of the four sides, and so you have to get it to line up, and that's to keep it centered in the inner tube when it's going up. Now here he's trying to get it to, or the inner one to just come up over the lip of that centering metal that's soldered on the inside of it. And it took us a while to get here. This is greatly sped up. It took us a little bit of time to do this. It wasn't too terrible, and we eventually just got everything lined up and pulled in. He's bringing over an engine hoist, or something that you'd use to hoist an engine to lift these two tubes up. The deal on this is that this thing, those two tubes weigh about 500 pounds. And you can see that the base is already installed. It was actually installed back when we were looking at the two tubes being, or the two, I call them tubes, but they're steel square tubes that are part of the mast of the part of the basically the tower. And so what you're seeing now is us beginning to, I believe in just a second, we're working still just to get it to the inner one to slip out of the other one. And I've cut out a lot of stuff in here because you have to understand it was like 107 degrees out during the day, and in the sun it was not terribly comfortable. I mean, we certainly were able to get this done, but we did take a lot of breaks, and you'll notice the picnic table here in the foreground where I have the camera. I had the camera over in another spot earlier on, and because it was sitting in the sun, it literally overheated and stopped recording, which is why on that earlier day, it just kind of, when the tubes are getting delivered, they're just kind of getting, you see them sitting there. You don't really see any of the action of them moving over because the recording of a lot of that just kind of stopped. And here we've already gotten the inner tube out. You can see it there. And then when he went in, there are two pins that go from the outer tube to the inner tube to lock it at certain positions, and he's got it locked right now at its lowest position. So the pin is holding it while we're holding that out while we are manipulating the other tube. And what we're trying to do here is we're raising that set of tubes and moving it over to line up with the base that's over a few inches away. And I don't remember if I got all of that recorded. It may be that that the recording stops. I'm not sure exactly why. I do know at one point I came over to the picnic table and noticed that that it had stopped recording, and so I think it had like something like 200 and something or minutes of recording, but it just stopped, and then I essentially had to start it again and got the rest. But so there's parts of this that I believe are missing, and the parts of it that are missing are the parts where after we get it in, and he already has it basically in the base section, but he does not have it. There's a pin at the top of that base. Once it's in exactly the right position, he will put a pin in, and it took him a while, and between him and I maneuvering it in that the engine lift, basically supporting the weight of the device. So it's mainly just us moving it over. See here, he's actually trying to line that pin up, and it takes a while of us lifting and pulling and lifting and pulling on the that arm to get it into the exact right position, and then he pins it with a pin that goes through a pin that's at the just above where the base is. It's in the base and the steel tubes, but it's difficult for you to see or to really experience. And so some of that, we cut that out. That part did not get recorded because the recorder cut out. When you saw us leave there a minute ago, we were going over to take one of the mini breaks we had due to the heat, because we could only kind of sit up there for a brief period of time. Now here, the tower's in place, the cable's been run, at the base of connected to the base, and it's hard to see. It's just a little black winch that's on there. Eventually, he and I are going to go back in and replace that with an electric winch. But right now, it's a hand crank winch, and it takes about, I believe he said about a 4-to-1 thing on the winch. The other thing that you're seeing us do right now actually is to install the rotator in the rotator mount that's been welded to the top of that tower. He welded it, and then once he got it welded, he painted the bottom of it with the rust paint to keep it all up. to keep it from rusting out and all of that. And the this thing is completely coated. He does offer for an additional about $2,000. He'll have this dipped in a chrome solution so that it's a complete chrome. My friend Patrick came over to help us with some of the rest of this because it gets rather tricky when we get to the antenna install, because the antenna, it was visible in one of the shots at the very beginning of this video, but it's not visible here. It's sitting back behind the red engine lift thing. And right now, he and I, like I said, are getting the bolts in and getting the rotator all bolted into the mast. And actually right now we just took another break, and we'll come back from that break in a second here, and JT is getting ready now to begin to raise the tower. I think the first thing we do is we attach the rotator cable onto it. I've got 200 foot of rotator cable, which is way more than I needed, but I wasn't sure how much we really needed, and actually the tower is not up as far as it can go. Right now it's just about, I think, 5 foot over the 20 foot base mast, and so it's not really up. Now here JT is actually cranking it up. This is so that we can get it up high enough to install the antenna, because a hex beam has a 22 foot span, so we need to be at least 10 foot up. And so JT has a 12 foot ladder here, and he's positioning that ladder underneath the mast so that we can brace the mast and get up there and work with the antenna. And so in a second he's going to go and pick up the antenna and set the antenna up so that it has so that to get it up and ready for mounting. I actually have one corner of that so that the thing would not rotate in his hands and kind of assist him, but he's the one that's actually going to do the climbing. Once it was up there, once he's up on the ladder, he grabbed a hold of one of the fiberglass arms and lifted it up from my arm up onto the tower. Now he's fitting the base of the antenna onto the mast. The antenna has a circular tube on it, and that tube fits over the tube of the mast. It's not one where you bolt it to the side of the mast. That would have been a lot easier, but that's not how this one's made. It's made to go over. And then what he's doing now is he's getting up and getting ready to drill a hole. There's a hole in the tube that comes out of the bottom of the antenna, the hub, and he is drilling the hole through that's in that tube into the mast, so that then we run a bolt through that's supplied by NA4RR to bolt the mast to the antenna. And so once the antenna is bolted, and this was kind of funny, it's probably not obvious here, but when JT was up there, he had the bolt in his hand. He actually drops it, and you can see the brush there in that mound that's there. And fortunately, it went right by Patrick's eye, and so he caught it. He watched it, and he knew exactly where it landed. and was able to just pick it right up and give it back. Because I mean, boy, that could have been hard to find. However, he's able to do that now. Here he's taking the M&P Ultraflex Sahara 7 and running it through the hole in the hub and connecting it to the ballon. And then you'll see him climb up the climb back up there. He's going to reposition the ladder in a minute and climb back up there and start actually taping the deal. Right now what he's doing is he's feeding enough that he can go through, step up on his little step ladder and get to the bottom of the ballon and screw the ballon onto the M&P coax. So where the white line ends is where the black ABR Industries. It's got about 7 ferrites in the ballon, and then there's an L bracket or an L shaped thing on there on the connector on it that connects to the ballon, so that the ballon hangs down and puts most of its weight against that L bracket. Here he's making sure he's taping up and sealing the where the ballon connects to the antenna, and then he's also sealing up where the antenna is, or where the coax and the ballon meet, to seal it up, make it watertight. Then in a couple of minutes, he's actually, I mean, after all that climbing and work that we've done to get everything, the antenna up, he took a break. Of course, I cut that out, and so now we're back to what he's doing here. Is I had bought some magnets to go down. They're rare earth magnets with hooks on them, and he has put one every few feet, every, I don't know, 5-10 feet. Right here, what he's doing is he's securing a loop of coax there so that when it rotates it won't bind, and there's plenty of coax for that. And then he'll begin to move the ladder down the shaft and put the magnets up against there, and then M&P coax shipped with a lot of good Velcro, and we Velcroed the antenna, or the coax to the loops in the or to the hooks. This is mainly to take as much weight as we can off of any of the rotators and that kind of stuff. It's just a way of keeping, as we go down, taking the weight off of where it's been taped and all of that, or secured to the mast. JT is, like I said, he's doing that. JT did a ton, like I'd say 97% of the work in getting this tower up. I helped him in a couple of places, and it was good that I did, because I needed to understand, how the thing goes together so I can maintain it in the future. Although JT said he's always available through a phone call to come and support me if needed. Now JT is using the hand crank to raise the tower, and believe me, this is sped up about 600%. So it's a little bit slower than that, obviously, when you're hand cranking it. And again, the goal is eventually to get the tower up, and so you can kind of see the hex beam now on top of the tower. It will eventually disappear from the shot, because I'm shooting this with a DJI Action Pro 5, so that's why it's not zoomed in. Some of the earlier video is basically from the from my phone, but which is why the concrete pour was so shaky. Now, the when you start out cranking this thing, it's kind of heavy, but then as it gets further and further up, it becomes much easier. And then once it gets in there, fully up like it is now, there is a pin at the bottom that you can that you put in there to pin that to the pin it to the base, and then that keeps keeps the thing so that the winch is not the thing that's holding it up. And also there is and we're not exercising it here, but there is a thing you can pull. It's actually with a different with Dacron cord, but you pull that and it pulls a pin out of that deal, the center tube in the mast, and then as you begin to run the crank, that will begin to raise the tower, or raise that intersection in from the outer section. And when it's fully extended, you'll be up 20 or 50 feet. And then, of course, that's 50 feet to the top of that first section. And then, again, above that would be even higher. Now, the guy here with the number 11 on his shirt is somebody that was trying to find my neighbor and wanting to buy a car from him. And he stopped by to ask if if we knew the person next door and all of that stuff. So, but then he was seeing what we were doing and he got all interested in it. Now there's a mound of dirt that's there. That dirt is something that JT has came back the next day and put the grout in again. That you can barely see it, but there is a space between the base of the tower, or the base and the concrete. And then the grout goes in between the base and the concrete, and the grout is spreading the weight of the concrete, or the weight of the tower pulling down. It's spreading that out across all of the concrete. It's a technique that's used in like light poles and all kinds of things that are made this way. Yeah, I want to thank JT of Basic Fabrication for coming out and setting up the tower and the antenna and getting it all constructed and built for me. It was a great experience and I had a lot of fun. I also want to thank Patrick Ewing for coming out and helping us with the installation of the antenna and getting it all up and running the coax with me and doing all of that kind of stuff. I've had a great time with it so far. Just had it a couple of days now, and been able to work some really good DX, including Africa, Colombia, all over South America. Had quite a pileup last night from Japan. So it's working really well right now, and I'm having a great time with it. So thanks for watching. Like the video if you can, and subscribe if you can. I really appreciate it. 73, this is Don, N5SKT.